Hello and welcome to the Cognizant Crone. Today I can't get comfy. Today is day 21 of 365 days of vlogging. So today, as the title suggests, I want to talk about being nice versus being kind. And I think that these words quite often are used interchangeably, but they really are very different. And before I get into that, I'm going to tell a little story. So it's story time about nice versus kind. And I never really thought about this too much until this happened. So it was a couple years ago, I went to this, it was sort of like a meetup, like a group meeting. It was like a dinner thing or whatever, and it was a group of artists. And I think the event was 2 or 3 hours, and the facilitator was just asking stuff about the art scene and art and what does art mean and all this kind of stuff. And it was an interesting, for the most part, it was an interesting gathering. I'll just say that much. Like it was informative and interesting to hear other people's perspective and kind of bounce around some ideas and stuff. So that was kind of cool. But one of the women, sort of like at a break time or whatever, I think it was a break time, doesn't matter. Anyway, she had mentioned that she moved to the island, and a lot of the people, because I live in Prince Edward Island in Canada, and most of the people I think who were in the group were mentioning that they weren't actually locals, like they weren't from PEI, they were from different places. And this one woman had moved from Toronto area, I think. Anyway, whatever. Outside of the East Coast. And so she moved here and was kind of not upset, but kind of annoyed. No, that's not even the right word. Just kind of disappointed maybe at the behavior of the residents, and which I thought was interesting because I was born on the East Coast, raised in Ontario, and now I've been living on the East Coast again for the last 7.5 years. So I have the best of both worlds when people are speaking about the two regions, right? Because I understand both culturally and geographically and everything. And I know that sounds weird because we're all in the same country, but Canada is really like 10 countries. Each province is like a different country. So this woman was saying, she gave the example of, I don't know, something about her neighbor. And she was talking about the fact that people here were nice. So they're nice to you, like, good morning, how are you? Oh, you need to borrow a cup of sugar, here you go. Like, people they're very gracious and all that kind of stuff. But they weren't kind, which at first stung a little bit because I'm thinking, what are you even talking about? And why would you say that about people? Like, that's really weird. What she experienced in, urban Toronto versus like small town PEI, pretty much. It's like, it's not going to be the same. And you're going to have to make concessions and you're going to have to adapt to a degree. But she made a really good point when she was talking about the nice versus kind. And I took that away and I really started to think about it because, yes, being nice to someone is doing things that will help them. It shows that maybe you're gracious or that you're approachable or you're friendly, or you want to do something to help them or whatever. That's being a nice person, right? I grew up with that, like, be nice to people, right? Be nice. And we got to the extreme, sort of how I was raised, of like, don't ever say no to someone. You always go out of your way for people, like to your detriment even, which is not healthy. That's a whole other story. But then I started thinking about the difference between nice and kind, thinking, you know what, being kind is doing something out of a genuine care for someone, right? And it's having that integrity about how you treat someone and what you do for someone, no matter who's around, and especially when no one else is around. And at the same time, what are the thoughts going through your head? Like if a new neighbor comes over and I don't know, maybe you don't like them. Maybe you're unsure of them or whatever, and they say, "Oh, my lawnmower's broken. Can I borrow yours?" "Yeah, absolutely. Here you go." "Oh, thanks. I'll just put it in the backyard." "Yeah, okay, that's great." And so you're being nice, right? But inside you're like, "Oh, well, couldn't they just go buy a new one? Or why didn't they borrow from another neighbor? I don't like them very much, but I'm not going to say no because that'll make me look like a bad person or whatever." So the not nice thoughts are still there, right? I'm not saying this is what I do, right? I'm not saying, and even if you do that, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with being nice versus kind. At least you're not being unkind, right? But where is this coming from? Where does it come from? Right? Where does kindness come from? I think it comes from recognizing that we're all equals and we're all just here being humans, trying to get through every day and, do the best we can. And understand that there are going to be differences, and understand that things aren't always going to be the way you want them to. And people aren't always going to be the way you want them to. But at the end of the day, kindness comes from acts of service towards someone else without expectation, but anything in return expected back to you, right? That's kindness. And that's, let's say, I don't know, neighbors are gossiping about someone, or they're, trash talking someone. You stepping up because that person isn't there and saying, "You know what? That's not very nice." Or, "You know what? That person's my friend. And the things you're saying, they're not true." Or, they don't deserve to be talked about like that. Like, standing up for the person when they're not around. That's being kind, right? That's standing in integrity. Now, do I do that all the time? No, I'm not perfect. I trash talk people. I gossip. I do shit like that. Like, most of us do. I shouldn't say we all do. I'm human. But when I catch myself doing that, I'm like, stop it. What are you doing? And then I kind of take stock. Like, why am I thinking this way? Why are these thoughts going through my head? Why am I participating in this behavior? Right? And then I try to correct it. So this is to show that, yeah, we're human and sometimes we do these things, right? But there's a way that you can turn it around so that the next time these thoughts or feelings might come up, you catch them and stop them in their tracks, right? Think about how you would like someone to treat you, especially if you're not around, right? And someone's saying something nasty about you. Wouldn't you like someone to defend you, right? If it's unwarranted, okay? I mean, nobody should be saying nasty stuff about people anyway, but I'm just going to be a jerk right now and say sometimes when people say nasty stuff about other people, it's true, right? Doesn't mean you should be talking about it anyway. Let it go. Okay, this person did something bad, or they did something they shouldn't have done, or whatever. Who cares? Let it go. Let it go. Really? I mean, if it's something super horrible, like, they deliberately killed my dog or something. I don't know. Oh my God, that's like a John Wick thing, right? That movie with the poor little puppy. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, spoiler alert. Well, not really, because it's right at the beginning of the movie. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that. But anyway, point is, nice versus kind. Is it bad to be nice? Just to be nice, or do you always have to be kind? I think it's a good thing to be nice. When you can be kind, I think that's even better. So maybe, think about that, right? And tell me what you think about this. Nice versus kind, and what the difference is. Did I capture the essence of that correctly? It's kind of my perception and how I see it. And what do you think? Should you always be kind? Or should you strive to always be kind, is probably a better way to put it. And, as long as you're not being unkind, I think that's okay for the most part. But really think about why the thoughts and actions that come to you are what they are. Nice versus kind, right? And how can you make changes so that you tend to be more kind than nice, or more often kind rather than just nice? I hope this makes sense. Let me know what you think. Put your comments below. We're going to wrap it up. We're done with day 21. I'll see you tomorrow for day 22. Bye.